on page 11 of your printouts, page Tesvav, bottom of the page, Ois Zion, second paragraph, third paragraph on the page, line 30. And we were speaking about why Clippers are so interested, why the Yitzhahara is so interested in getting a Yid to sin, because through a Yid doing an Aveda, it spills out the blood of man and man. It makes a puncture in Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. It derives a life force that otherwise it would not be able to derive from the Eibush. So we were explaining about this, a whole lengthy explanation about how in Kedusha, since it's bottle, since it has bittul to the Eibush, everything exists b'kiyum atzmi. Everything has an essential bittul because it's completely united with Hashem, whether it's the oir, whether it's the kalim, whether it's the neshamas Yisrael. Klippa, on the other hand, does not have bittul and does not want bittul, therefore cannot get a chayis b'kiyum atzmi, and to be able to get chayis from kedusha, it can only do so by getting a yid to do an aveda. So now he's going to encapsulate in a way some differences in how the chayis comes about in Klippa versus in Kedusha. Again, Zion, line 30, page 10-12. Close, I have between Kedusha and Klippa, so B'shloisha and Yom, general distinction and difference between Kedusha and Klippa is in three aspects, three components. B'shoirish hisavusam, in their root from where they come into being. B'hisavusam, in their actual coming into being. In other words, their creation, and then ubekiyumam, and also in how they go on in their existence. The idea behind this is everything that came into being, whether good or negative, also all came because of Hashem's will. But Klippa is not something Hashem wanted. We're saying Asher Sonei Havai. It's something that Hashem hates. Gam Klippa, also Klippa on the other side. Shem Heipach and then the opposite of Hashem's will. And a Gam Heim Nisavu Mitzad Ritzoyni Yisbarach. Also, they came into being because of His will. Al Shisavusam Hu Mitzad His Galus HaRotzen. The way how they came into being was in the manifestation of Hashem's will, that it says that these I did not want. In other words, it's like the flip side of Hashem's will. Because He chose not to want something, so there existed things that are unwanted. Now, this is based on a lashon in the Medrash that he brings in the commentary on the side. It says in line 11 on the commentary on the right side, it says K'divrei HaMedrash, like the words of the Medrash. Amar Rabbevo says, he brings from a pasuk Malamed Shoyaboyra Oilmas Machrivam, that Hashem was creating worlds and destroying them. Ad Shabaru es Elu, Ad Shabaru es Elu, till He created these worlds. Amr Dein Hanyan Lay. These are what I like. Yasun, those that I destroyed, Loy Hanyan Lay, are things that I did not like. And he brings a pasuk of the Amr Pinchas time that Rabavo, Vayar Kim Spal Shasam Moed, Dein Hanyan Lay, Yasun Loy Hanyan Lay. And the fact that he said, and Hashem saw that it was good, that indicates that there could have been things that He saw that weren't good. So those were the worlds that He created that weren't good. Sometimes it says that that's the idea of Elam HaToyu. But by extension, it also goes on things that came from the Shviras HaKelim of Toyu, which is Klippas. So the fact that Hashem did not want these, so when you have a choice, so both of them have to exist. So Hashem's not wanting something also causes an existence, but an existence in a way of Hashem not wanting them. A little bit of an oxymoron, but that's the way klippas exist. Please continue inside in the text itself, line 5, since the revelation of Hashem's will is in such a way that these he does not want, he does not enjoy. There should not be an existence for klippas. That's what it was. He doesn't want them. Therefore, the way klippas are existing, they, according to his will, in the way how his will was, that's how they came into being. His will was that he doesn't want them to be, so the existence that they manifest is a non-existence. Not like things in Kedusha that are Kayim B'Kiyum Atzmi, that have some type of self and some type of existence because they are connected with Hashem. Klippas, which Hashem doesn't want, became a non-existing existence. They are something that are not real or not existing by itself. So that is the Shoyrish Esav, the root where they came from. The root where Kedusha comes from is from Hashem's Ratzon, and Hashem wanted them, and the root where Klippa came into being is from Hashem not wanting them. So that's the first difference, the root of Klippa versus the root of Kedusha. Second thing we said is in the actual coming into being. Line 11. So too, there's the difference and distinction in the coming into being of klippas themselves. The way the kedusha comes into being is in such a way that the godly life force shines into the kedusha. Since the kedusha is nullified and bottled to the godly life force, therefore the way it comes into being is that it allows, and it's a channel and it's a vehicle that the godly life force can shine into the being, which is like we said before, that it comes down in a pnimius, it becomes one with the chayes alaki. As opposed to the way the klippas comes into being, is like we mentioned yesterday, that the chayes alaki does not shine into them, but rather Elohu b'chinas golus b'soichel. Rather, the godly life force is in a state of golus within them. What does it mean, golus? What's the definition of golus? The definition of golus is that the Rebbe brings us down in other places. When I am in control of my environment, then that's the normal way how things work. When I am in prison or I'm in exile, instead of I being in control of my environment is controlling me. My environment is dictating to me what I should be and what I should do. So in Kedusha, the godly life force that animates Kedusha, that is directing and telling what Kedusha should be about. Klippa, they are in opposition to godliness, so therefore the godly life force that's in them is in the way of exile, meaning it's not that the godly life force directs and shows what Klippa should do, the other way around. Klippa controls the godly life force and uses it for its own nefarious ends. The third difference is, because of this, there's also a difference in the manner of their existence. Is, like we mentioned before in Kedusha, that since they come into being is through the revelation of the life force of Hashem. There's a effect in the existence that it creates. There's a unity. They become completely joined It is one with the Chayas. Therefore, it is existing in and of itself because of its connection with the source. Machenkin, the clips as opposed to clippers, it's the way they come into being is not through the revelation of their life force. The life force that's in them is in a state of exile. Therefore, they have no existence whatsoever. And because of that, they are looking constantly for sources of life. And their sources of life is through a person. And their entire receiving of chayis from kedusha is through the actions of aveda. Otherwise, they are not entitled to anything. Chassidus explains, yes, they have a bare minimum to exist, but nothing more than that. If they want more chayis and more energy, since they are not willing to forego their ego, like we explained yesterday, since they're not willing to be in a state of bittul, the only way they can derive more life force and vitality from kedusha is through getting a person to sin, because a person who has in himself a chelik al kamim mal mamish is a conduit to God and the conduit to life force from kedusha. So when a person does an aveda, the klippa uses him as a tool and as a means to extract life force from kedusha in a way of a noikiv shemavaya, making a puncture, in a way of shaypadama adam ba'adam, a way of pouring the blood and the life force of adam the kedusha and to adam the blial of klippa. Any questions before we go on? Okay, bottom of the page Kesvav, we're starting the last ice in the mimer. So now he's going to bring this back to the beginning pasuk of the mimer concerning Arim. This is where it says that Hashem spoke to Moshe, etc. Because you are now crossing Arts of Canaan to the land of Canaan. And what's the purpose that you're going into Arts of Canaan? You're going there to be able to transform it and make into it Eretz Yisrael, like the Rebbe in other places explains, that the whole idea of Yisrael is the idea of Torah, Torah, and Yisrael is the idea of Li Roish, that they are high and holy, etc., etc. The holier name of Yaakov is the name of Yisrael. And what we do with that land of Canaan, we make it a land of Yisrael, and we transform it. And you shall prepare for yourselves cities of refuge. So we know the Arim Miklat is meant for what? That's meant for the people that had killed. So just like Beruch Begashmis, there's the level of those that have killed someone. So to Beruchnis, we've just now explained at great length. The Indian Arim Miklat to Atikun Lahoirig Nefesh, that the idea of Arim Miklat is to fix up and to repair someone that kills another. And we explained that according to Chassidus. What does that mean, killing another? Shua Adam Achoite, that's a person that sins. The Chol Chet in Yoni Lahoirig Nefesh Kniskul, every sin is like killing someone, like we mentioned before, because he's pouring out the lifeblood of kedusha into klippa. The tikkun zeh tzarich lias aidei achana dafka, and this fixing up has to be specifically by a preparation. So Amri, that's what the pasuk says. V'hikritzem lochem. V'hikritzem lochem means preparing it. You have to prepare these lands. You have to prepare the lands. The Arim Miklat. Why is that so? Why is it necessary, the preparation? Kind of the reason for this is, if you call in Yoni Kedusha, all matters of Kedusha come through preparation. In many places, especially in the Sichos, the Rebbe explains that one does not jump into matters of Kedusha. When it comes to Klippa, it's a distinct difference between Klippa and Kedusha. In Klippa, one just jumps, they're just doing it. In Kedusha, when I'm doing something, there needs to be a preparation. Sikha was teaching last night that speaks about that davening, which is about Sulam Mutzavartzim, Rosh Magia Shemaima, you need to go up higher and higher. There's the preparation for davening. There is leaving matters behind. There is literally putting on the gartel beforehand. That's showing that you're now leaving the world behind and you're now setting yourself up for davening. You just don't jump into davening. And that is what Kedusha is about. Kedusha needs preparation. At top of the last page, Vatikun the Arim Miklat, the repair of the cities of refuge is not just to remove the sin and the punishment that would be resulting from the sin. It's about refining the person internally, changing the internal things that's going on. Where do we see that? It's an internal change. That's the idea of miklat. Miklat means from the word absorbing. The word miklat in the literal meaning of klita is taking something in, absorbing something. It means absorbing something. In modern Israel, they call absorption centers for new immigrants. They call it also something related to klita. Klita means taking it in. So it's not just a place to escape to, Arem Miklat, cities of refuge, a place you run away. It is something that shows on absorbing. The change has to be internalized, has to be absorbed. In Yoni Ba'avodah, what's the idea? In Avodah Hashem, in Torah is something that is absorbed internally. Maimer Chazal say, Divrei Torah Koltit, says that the words of Torah, first of all, act like a city of refuge, but also they have the nature of being absorbing and being absorbed. So he says Torah, it doesn't say mitzvahs, it says specifically words of Torah. Why is that so? Because just the nature of it. Mitzvahs are something external to the person. As we know in Tanya, it brings about that we're soon going to say it's garment. I know mitzvahs. In addition to the fact that the Gemara says that mitzvahs protect a person spiritually only temporarily. During the time of performing the mitzvahs, he's protected from untoward things, he's protected from Avedas and so on. But once he's done with the mitzvahs, their protective nature is something that's gone. They don't have that protective nature afterward. And also, another thing about the protective nature of mitzvahs is it's external. If it's only something that's encompassing and surrounding the person. Okay, as it's known, that the mitzvahs are garments. They surround the person by days, and through that, they protect the person, they shield the person. The mitzvahs are not something that are internalized, just like physically the mitzvahs are done outside of the person, upon the person's body. So too, spiritually, they are garments for the nefesh. Spiritually, they are protecting for the nefesh. When the nefesh goes Gan Eden, these are called garments for him and so on. But it's not something that becomes part of the person inside. Torah, on the other hand, is the idea of klit. Torah, as opposed to Torah study. The Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya right away in the beginning that through Torah study, a person becomes joined with the Torah with an unbelievable union that there's no other union like it. And the Alter Rebbe explains over there in Tanya, first of all, his mind encompasses the idea that he's studying in Torah, that in that idea, it's not just the Torah itself, but it's Hashem's Chachma, it's Hashem's will. That's being surrounded by his mind. So it's in his mind is the Ratzon and Chachma of Hashem. And also, when the person is immersed in the learning, he's trying to figure it out, and the idea is surrounding my mind. I'm using and I'm investing my mind in the idea, and I am being surrounded by it. Just like when you surround something completely, you are not able to find any way outward. The same thing, the way the Torah surrounds a person, when a person invests his mind in Torah, he's completely surrounded by it. But in that regard, it's like the levushim of mitzvahs, except it's an internal thing. But together with surrounding his mind, it's also that when I, especially when I get the idea, that idea is now sitting in my mind, so my mind is now surrounding. In Mevor Betanya, like it's explained in Tanya, these two aspects, and because of that, so yichud she'ein yichud kamayu, because in the physical world, there's no thing that I can surround it and be surrounded by it simultaneously. So now the Rebbe adds a very interesting point. One would think that these ideas of unity that takes place with the Torah, that ein yichud kamayu, because my mind is surrounding the Torah and the Torah is surrounding my mind, is really taking place only at the time that I'm learning. Though Tanya seems to indicate that this is only at the time that I'm studying Torah. We have both, that it's surrounding my mind and my mind is surrounding me. But in truth is that it's so after the study. In other words, like this. Mefarshim Tanya ask about this. That seemingly, what does it mean that the Alter Rebbe says that ein yichud kamayu by Torah with nothing else? It should be that way by any seichel, any idea that I learn. I have these two steps. First, I'm immersing myself in the idea, and therefore, since I'm immersing myself in the idea, I'm trying to understand the idea that I'm studying. The idea is surrounding my mind, and then once I grasp the idea fully, so then it's fully encompassed by my mind. So there's two steps. It's not something that is always have these two things. The beginning there's one, and then there's the other. Once I've learned it, the Torah is in my, whatever idea it is in my mind. The Rebbe explains it's not that way. By Torah, it's different. By Torah, both steps of the Yichud are there constantly. Even once I have mastered the idea, even once I understood the idea, and the Torah is now in my mind, and my mind is surrounding the idea of Torah, the Torah is still surrounding my mind, that's why it's ein yichud kamayu, because no other idea has that. Because every other idea, once I've finished studying, so then the idea is sitting in my mind is surrounding the idea is not surrounding me. So he explains why by Torah is the idea surrounding me even after I have learned the Torah. So he says, in line 16, the kivun sheseich la Torah l'maylam menu, since the intellect of Torah, the ideas of Torah are beyond the person, therefore his mind and his intellect is surrounded by the Torah even after Torah study. So therefore, even after I've mastered a topic, there's still that aspect of Torah that transcends. There's still the transcendent and beyond me level of Torah. And because there's the transcendent and beyond me level of Torah, there is the Torah surrounding my mind, and I'm surrounding the Torah at the same time. I'm surrounding and encompassing Hashem's will and wisdom, and at the same time, Hashem's will and wisdom, which is Torah, is encompassing me. And that's why only by Torah we say this. There's this yichud she'ein yichud kamayu, not even by any other idea, not even by any other intellectual pursuit, like there is in Torah. Perhaps we could also connect this what we said before, divrei Torah koltim. In divrei Torah koltim, it comes out that the words of Torah absorb the person. They take in the person, because the words of Torah is not just absorbed within me, that my mind surrounds the idea, but also the Torah surrounds my mind, so therefore it absorbs me, it takes me in. But that unity of me being in it and it being in me shows on the ultimate unity, which causes the ultimate transformation and the ultimate kiyum atzmi, which is not there by klippas. Like we said before, the klippas don't have a union with the kedusha, therefore they're not existing the kiyum atzmi. But through Torah, especially, even more so than through mitzvahs, where we have this unbelievable unity. The Torah comes into me and it surrounds me at the same time. Yichud shein yichud kamayu. So it's understood that the chayis, the kiyum, is even more so a kiyum atzmi, even more than mitzvahs. That's why Torah is what is the counter to the anti-kiyum atzmi of klippas. Let's go on in line 17. Zoy miles of Torah all mitzvahs. That is the advantage of Torah over mitzvahs. The mitzvahs, hein levush, that mitzvahs are called garments. Masha enk, like we mentioned before. Masha enk in our Torah, we said also over there in Tanya, in Perek Hey, explains over there, Milvad hi yoisel levush ala nefesh, in addition to the fact that the Torah is a garment, I'm sorry, in addition to the fact that it's a garment to the nefesh. Why is it a garment to the nefesh? Because it's a mitzvah like any other mitzvah. And the Alter Rebbe explains over there that when the person pronounces and says the words of Torah from the breath and the air of what he's vocalizing the Torah, that becomes levushim for the person. Like any mitzvah creates a levush for the person. In addition to the Torah having the quality of a levush, and it's also in the state of food for the person, because just like food enters to the person and becomes part of him, so to the Torah enters into the person and becomes part of him, not like mitzvahs that are only external. Through the study of Torah, a person becomes joined and united with Torah. And that is why the Alter Rebbe explains over there why the greater mile of Torah over mitzvahs, because mitzvahs are only garments, whereas Torah has both the advantage of a mitzvah being a garment to the person, and it also has the advantage of being food for the person. So therefore, it's a unity unsurpassed by any other unity. Therefore, the words of Torah can repair and fix up the problem that happened through the sin, where the sin caused that there is that disunity and disconnect. Through the study of Torah, specifically, like I mentioned before, more so than mitzvahs even, so then it becomes the refinement in an internalized fashion, that the person becomes refined from the inside, not just he has the mitzvahs that temporarily while he's doing the mitzvahs are protecting him, but internally becomes transformed. By the way, this is also the reason it says that mitzvahs, only when a person is performing them, we've had this in other Mamorim, does another person need to show respect for the person performing the mitzvah. Even an Amaoris that does a mitzvah, another person needs to rise before someone else that's doing a mitzvah. However that's applicable, it doesn't matter right now. But the main thing is that the mitzvah enhances the person, but only at the time that the person does the mitzvah. Whereas for a Talmid Chacham, someone that studies Torah, it's not just that I have to rise for that person at the time that he's studying Torah. No, the fact that he's a person that studies Torah, he's internalized Torah. Torah has become part of him. So now he is a Torah person. He is now joined with the Torah. And even when he's not studying Torah, we need to show the person respect because of the Torah that's in him. Through that refinement that takes place in this Galat, when it becomes revealed, the cleaving of the neshama in the infinite light of Hashem. And that is what ensures the kiyum atzmi, like we said, through this, the neshamas exist, not like klippas that are non-existent beings, but they exist with a real and true self-existence. Also, like it says, that you are cleaving in Hashem, your God. Through this, you are all alive today. We'll stop over here. Any questions? By the way, all alive today is again that same emphasis. It's that emphasis of being life, the ultimate state of life, the ultimate state of existence, because we are connected with true life with Hashem.